Ooh, welcome back, everybody. It is another edition of New Guitar Day. Today is, I believe, yes, I do believe, today is October the 15th, 2024. As you can see, we have a nice big box in front of us. And I'll tell a little story while I'm unpacking this. FedEx is a curious outfit, to be sure. So they had a estimated delivery time between 2 and 4 o'clock this afternoon. And then when 4 o'clock comes and goes, suddenly their website shifts and says your package will be delivered by the end of the day. That's the way they save face. They can't quite cop to the fact that they haven't met their goal. Anyways, as you can see, this guitar came with a case, which is quite unusual in this day and age, especially when we're talking about budget guitars, which this certainly qualifies based on the price. And you can tell it's a fairly inexpensive case, but my goodness, for the price of admission, again, to get a case. And this is a brand that I have had no experience with whatsoever. This is a King. And apparently King is made by a company called Cozart, which is a budget brand from China. And this is, it's wrapped up, so we'll get it out of its wrapper. I guess you can smell the off-gassing. This guitar is, and I bought it specifically because it's an odd guitar, never had anything like it at all, and this is a copy of a copy, or maybe this is the original copy, I'm not sure, but this is a copy of the B&G Little Sister, which their made in China version goes for about $1,500. and their made in Israel version goes for about $3,000. So for the what I consider to be a very fair price, schmutz here, I don't know if that's yeah, it's free schmutz. For the very fair price, including a case, fret-ins feel very nice, including a case, for a whopping $225. Now, unless this guitar is just completely screwed and does nothing, or just won't tune up, or has some major defect to it, I consider that to be a nice price. So, without further ado, I'm going to go plug it in because I just want to check it out. But again, let me just reiterate. And I've also got one from Firefly coming, and the Firefly has binding on the neck and binding in the F-holes, but it's also more expensive, and those are just cosmetic issues. Yeah, I really like the font on the headstock. It's got a real vintage vibe to it. And yeah, this is just, guitar doesn't weigh much of anything. So yeah, I'm going to go plug it in. Switch actually feels pretty good, relatively speaking, for an inexpensive guitar. So yeah, we'll be back. Looks fantastic. I have no idea if that's a photo flame finish top. For the price, one would expect that it probably is. Let's see if there's any movement to it. Well, it does seem to shift a little bit. Anyways, we're going to go plug it in and see what it does. So we'll be back. Okay, we're back, and we will be back in a day or two. I only had 5 minutes to tune this up and just play it because it didn't arrive till late this evening. But I would like to say, upon initial impressions, absolutely stunned. I don't see any. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this is actually a veneer top, because I can see the tiger stripes moving a little bit, but that may just be delusional. So initial impressions, it tuned right up. I stretched the strings once and it stays in tune. The frets are a little bit dirty, no big deal. I'm too lazy to take all the strings off and tape it up and do the polishing job, so I will just play it, and eventually that grit will just disappear. Again, the fret ends, nice, you know. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Initial impressions, I really like it. I just wanted to get this down because this is on the day of arrival. Things could change. As with many match tops, you can see that the grain is much more pronounced on one side than the other. That's to be expected. I've seen that even on expensive guitars, so nothing to worry about. And again, the fact that this was $225, including this case, and again, this case is, you know, it's not a super high quality case, but it's got everything that you need, and they were smart. It's got a bit of a ramp on it, which it doesn't really need because this guitar is a straight headstock. But they were smart to put this little block right here, which, yeah, keeps the guitar in place. Very impressed. He has them on eBay. He does the classic trick where he says, last one, and then he sells it and he puts another one up, last one, and then puts another one up. So I'm guessing these will be available for a while. I'm sure he has a warehouse full of these. Again, the Firefly version that they have out currently is the single cutaway, and Firefly wants $219 for it, and they charge like $27 to ship it, so you're looking at about $250. And this is $225, free shipping, including a tweed case. So I do think it's really a bargain. And yeah, I would never spend the money. I'm sure the B&G models, even the made in China one for $1,500 and the made in Israel one for $2,000-$3,000, I'm sure they're stunning, quality to behold. But for a person like me who sits home and plays, I just could never see spending that kind of money. Now it's interesting because I don't know if the camera picks this up, but when you come over here, the flame is very even on both sides of the guitar. See that? So when you look at it from the downside, the one side tends to be much more subtle, but this way, well, you can see it just. So let's look at that. So when we come over here, maybe it's just the way the light's hitting it. But yeah, that's some pretty serious flame. And I mean, again, I think it is a veneer. I don't think it's a photo finish, but it could be. But it wouldn't matter one way or another. I could care less that they didn't put binding on the F-holes. And you can feel, I mean, again, it's a budget guitar. Budget. So what you can get for a budget guitar today is pretty amazing. So anyways, I will be back in a day, a 2 or 3. The only weak spot, and I'm sure it can be corrected really quick, the output jack is very weak. The switch on this is actually quite nice. I mean, a lot nicer than more expensive guitars as far as just its firmness goes. And everything works. And of course, I'm a neck pickup nut, so in the neck position, this just has a nice low, ballsy sound. I don't care for bridge position alone at all. It's always just too thin for me. And the two of them together are very nice. So we will be back in a day or 2 or 3. But yes, this is the King. The King. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's the King. King's version of the Little Sister. And again, the best that I can deduce, the Closeout Guitar Company, which is a maker of quite a few budget-friendly guitars, King is their brand, their sub-brand. And yeah, thus far very pleased. I'll be really interested on Thursday. I'm getting a used Firefly again. Little Sister clone. This has the single cutaway. I'll be interested to see quality-wise, but this is pretty amazing. So anyways, we'll join you back. Join you back. And the weather will change by then. We're having what could be our last Yesterday it was 82 degrees. That may be the last time we see the 80s for many months. Today was 78, and we will be dropping into the 60s and the 50s in the coming days. So we'll be back. Till then. Welcome back, everybody. It is now October the 16th, so it's one day later, Wednesday, 2024. Sort of doing a rush job on the unboxing and superficial review, because none of my reviews are in depth. They're basically just, do I like it? Does it do what I hoped it would do? I leave the technical stuff to the people who are more qualified. So I've had this guitar now just over 24 hours, probably played it for a total of 3 hours, and already I can tell you I really like this guitar. So I'm encouraged. I don't find any defects of any note. There may be a cosmetic blem here or there. Certainly nothing to write home about. I'm sure that the hardware is the cheapest hardware that you can get. The gold plating is probably so thin that if I sneeze it will fly off. But it doesn't matter. This is a guitar that's about vibe. And it has vibe. And, you know, there's so much I don't know. Do they make P90 ceramic pickups? If it saves 20 cents, yes, I'm sure they do. So more than likely these are ceramic P90s. But they sound just fine to me. The potentiometers work just fine. The switch works just fine. Now, as again, with all budget guitars, they may work fine today and not work fine tomorrow. That's what you're paying for when you buy a Switchcraft product, is something that will probably give years and years and years of service. So these could go out tomorrow, but today they work fine. The weakest link in the hardware department is the output jack, and it probably just needs the, whatever you call it, the tang that pushes up against the jack, adjusted a little bit, and that will probably be fine. The tuners are certainly not Grover quality, but they work. And again, having the guitar only 24 hours, it takes a while, in my experience, for a guitar to just sort of settle into its new environment. So there is a little bit of back bow on the neck, so the truss rod needs to be loosened just a touch. But again, I usually wait a day, 2, 3, 4, 5 a week, just to let it acclimate, just to see what it does. There are a few sharp frets, nothing major. 5 minutes with a file will take care of that. And yeah, quality-wise, it's different. I weighed it, it's 6 pounds, which is just a nice weight for a guitar like this. When I was looking at the pictures, I thought, oh, this is going to be too small. This is going to feel tiny. It doesn't. Now, yes, I play primarily sitting down, but with a strap on and sitting down. And again, I'm sure you've noticed this, and this is one of the benefits of having comments disabled. You can think all you want that I'm a dumbass for putting that on there. It's just quick remove painter's tape. In absence of a pick guard, it just prevents scratching for the time being. I haven't committed to keeping this guitar, although I'm 99% there, but let's say I find something that's objectionable. I've got 30 days to return it. I will not return a guitar because I don't like it. I am willing to take a chance on a guitar. If I don't like a guitar, I'll either keep it or I'll sell it to someone else, because again, it's all about preference, and what I don't like someone else may love. So I will only return a guitar if there's a defect, and sometimes the seller's willing to, you know, reduce the price a little bit and I can live with the defect, or something doesn't work and they're willing to adjust the price. But this guitar has no issues like that at all. I doubt I'm ever going to put a pick guard on here, but in the meantime, the tape doesn't hurt anything. It looks butt ugly, but who cares? I play in my living room and I'm not playing for anybody, and again, for the time being, it just allows me to relax. Just a funny aside on that, this probably doesn't apply to all players. I don't think I've ever made a single scratch on a guitar with my pick. Where I get the scratches from is from my fingers. sliding across the guitar, but you know, I'm not like digging down into the guitar. But again, this guitar is clearly your miles may vary. It has some bizarre poplar concoction, coagulation, commodulation, composite fingerboard. Feels good, looks nice. Will it last? I don't know. Maybe the molecules in the glue will break down with heat or something and I'll just have sawdust coming off the guitar. You know, a bad guitar for free is still a bad guitar. This guitar, again, is selling currently on eBay for $275. He knocks 5% off, so it comes down to like $263. I left it in my cart for a couple of days, and he sent me an offer for $225. And again, keep in mind, that included this, you know, it's an inexpensive case, but my goodness, you know, a case for a $200 guitar, very nice. So that was definitely added to the value of the whole deal. But again, the case would have meant nothing if the guitar sucked, but I have to say this guitar doesn't suck. And I may or may not have mentioned, he's a savvy business person. He puts these up there, last one, and then you buy it, and the next day there's another one, last one. So he probably has a warehouse full of these things. I do believe that Firefly and King are the only two companies that I can find that are making these knockoffs. I'm sure there's other ones, but, you know. And the Fireflies come and go really quick. I've got one coming tomorrow, the FFLS, the single cutaway in the amber transparent burst. And the few comments that you can find on the internet about these things are, because there's a couple people who have owned both and they're pretty confident that they're made in the same factory. They couldn't find any discrepancies. So you know, I'm basically the two upgrades, if you want to call it that, is on the Firefly. There's binding in the F-holes and there's binding around the neck. So that's just cosmetic, but you know, adds a little bit of woo-woo. So we'll see. So that should be here tomorrow. It's on its way. And yeah, I think that's all I wanted to mention. So, oh yeah, the other thing I wanted to mention too, this is the second video that I could find when I post this tonight of this guitar, of the King, you know, copy, rip-off, clone, whatever you want to call it, of the B&G Little Sister. The other one is a guy who is like a Mississippi Delta blues aficionado. So he basically demonstrates it in that tonal mode, which is great. And he's absolutely right that it sort of has that like cheap blues guitar vibe thing going on. And but it doesn't really tell the whole story about this guitar at all. I mean, this guitar sounds really nice, clean, and it sounds nice with just a little bit of crunch. So if you happen to watch his video and you think that this thing's a one-trick pony, it's not at all. You could play really smooth jazz on this. Again, the P90s, I don't know if they're ceramic or if they're Alnico, and I could care less. They sound fine to me. And everything functions as you would expect. And, you know, the fit and finish part, there's no rattle on the bridge, and the bridge is, I'm sure, the cheapest bridge in town. Whoever cut the nut did a wonderful job. You know, your notes up right next to the nut are like perfectly in tune. It's intonated very well. I mean, it was playable out of the box. The strings are really dirty, and I'm sure they're really crappy strings. And the frets could use a bit of a polish. And the fret ends need just a mild dressing. But still, it was playable out of the box. And I'm telling you, I've had guitars that cost 2-3 times this that weren't as playable. The little cosmetic things that some people nibble at is, you know, it would have been nice if they would have darkened inside the F-hole, which is something that matters to you. And I'm, again, pretty convinced that this is not a photo finish top. And another reason why I think so is if you look at the side of the F-hole, I mean, photo finish would be as thick as a piece of paper, and you can actually look. I'm not good at measurements, so it wouldn't, I don't know. But you can actually see the piece of veneer, at least I think I can. And again, it does seem to move, which is one of the hallmarks of real wood versus photo finish. But again, for the price, if it was a piece of photo finish paper, I could care less. The other thing that I like is the color of this. The camera's probably not showing it, but it's like a deep, deep, deep burgundy, which is really nice. And by looking at it, it looks like this doesn't look black. It looks like the dark part of the sunburst is also that burgundy. So that's really nice, because they have a cherry burst version of this as well. That's obviously a lighter color. But I like this. I mean, this looks just like a classic old sunburst. Yeah. Crazy guitar. So anyways, this is the King. Thank you very much. The King clone of the Little Sister. And tomorrow we will have the Firefly version, the single cutaway with the Florentine edge. I guess that's the sharp edge on the cutaway. And to compare it. And again, I told you it weighs 6 pounds, which is a really nice weight. It's not featherweight, certainly not heavy. I don't get much neck dive on it at all. Your mileage may vary. But yeah, I really like this guitar. So, given that I've only had it for 24 hours, I'm very, very, very pleased with my purchase. So, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Again tomorrow, if all the stars align, we'll be back with the Firefly iteration of this guitar. Thank you very much. Have a good day. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and we'll see you next time.